Hello guys and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me Vulcan. Today I'm playing a 4 versus 4 on Kristiansund. I'm playing on the NATO side with Griffon, Val and Bash, and on the enemy team we have C2 Pan Crazy, Antifa Red, Carry On and Armoured Turtle. Now in this particular game I use a All Nations Kate deck. It's probably one of my more serious decks, something that I don't think I've ever lost with. It really works well in both like big multiplayer games like 4 versus 4, 3 versus 3 and even 10 versus 10, but more than that it works well in 1 versus 1, and that's where I really like using it. Either way, it shone in this particular battle and I would love to tell you what's going on right now. So you can see there is a hell of a lot of pings. Most of them are enemy, but myself and Bash were talking about what we were going to do on the right, and he was saying that if he took Foxtrot, then it would make it very easy for him to cover this entire area here, which is definitely the case. However, Foxtrot is no longer a conquest reinforcement point, so there isn't as much strategic value of taking these hills than there used to be. You can literally drive right round them and you probably won't feel the sting because they're only worth 1 point. Now, conquest, okay, every point counts, but if you are denied of your hill and they are denied of their hill, then you're equal anyway, and it doesn't really make too much of a difference. As long as you capture your hill, there is no point in trying to push their hill. That's basically what I'm trying to say on this particular map. But instead, I was saying how it would be very useful if you were to push up and take the far side of Gulf from where you deploy. So in my case, that was here. These buildings are the strong point of this sector, and it looks like my enemy has also identified this. Now, the awesome thing about these buildings that a lot of people sort of don't really consider is that if you are defending from this side, like if you are defending from the pack side, these buildings, if occupied, do not have line of sight on anything they want to shoot at. So putting ATGMs in there or anything is kind of useless, to be honest. What you want to do if you're attacking from this side is go for these buildings, because these can cover a huge expanse of land over Echo. Obviously, it's going to be very hard to get this far up without overextending your force, so often many people don't go for that. However, it definitely is the right thing to try and do with a sustained push. So that is exactly what Val is trying to do on the right side of Gulf. So Bash was going to go up to Foxtrot, Val was going to go to the right side of Gulf, I was going to go to the left side of Gulf, and we had Griffon heading up to Hotel and then to push down to Mike. So let's have a look at our starting forces. I've got a Ferric Mark 1, that's the Canadian, very small light recon unit, which doesn't have any armaments other than the M2 Browning. Then we've got an SPPZ Lux with its 20mm autocannon. Then we have the TPC Buxmalans with Jagd Commandos, probably one of my favourite combinations. Two units which just work so well together. The Buxmalan has a standard ATGM and the vehicle moves very quickly. And then you've got the Jagd Commandos, which also have a very good ATGM, which basically they support each other. It works out very well. Now here I just about managed to stop my Marder Roland in time before this SU drops its entire payload of napalm. Unfortunately, an impressive strike there by the enemy onto most of Griffon's army. So now I've got my heavy hog travelling up to the left. This is trying to cover the advance up onto Hotel while Griffon arrives. I've got another heavy hog facing up the front of my force, which unfortunately gets shot down by some Strelak 1Ms very soon. But that one heavy hog alone delayed their advance enough to allow my Jagd Commandos and Fuchsmalans to get into this building, and just watch the destruction that follows. Now they have a lot of T-62s and T-64Bs, and this means that they are eventually going to overwhelm my forces. However, having this destructive power of Malans, and they have 16 ammo, I destroy all of their support units before their tanks even get close. So basically what it left them with is no AA and just lots of tanks. And that was a field day for my Leopard 2A4 and my Jagd Commandos. I also have a Marder 1A2s with Panzer Grenadiers. Now the Panzer Grenadiers only have heat rockets for short range, and the Marder 1A2s do have their own Milan F1 similar to the Jagd Commandos to use, but they aren't that effective against heavy tanks at close range. However, my Leopard 2A4 certainly is, and you can see that he is getting some beautiful shots onto these tanks and taking them out as we go. Now if I switch it to my point of view, you can really pay testament to my recon. Now my recon's sitting all the way back here, and I can see these T-72s and so on. I bring in 2 Phantoms to napalm this advance, mainly to get rid of the Moskaya Pehota, and they respond with a lovely bombing run onto my infantry. So that's got rid of my Jagd Commandos. I moved the Panzer Grenadiers up to the next building, but it doesn't do them too many favours, and I just lost my last Marder over here. Now I've brought up a Lux to try and see what's going on at closer range, because now they've moved over to the left side of this building. My ferret no longer has the line of sight it needs in order to provide useful information. My Lux nearly gets a shot onto the T-64 before it reloads, but unfortunately dies in the process. Now I don't want my Leopard 2A4 to get too close to these tanks, because they can do a lot of damage with kinetic rounds. So the idea is with tanks that they have kinetic rounds, and the closer you get, the more damage they deal. That's why I'm backing off my Leopard 2A4. I want to make use of its supreme armour. Now as soon as I see a T-64 there, my Leopard 2A4 instantly aims and kills it straight away. Following that up, I kill a T-72A with another perfect shot. And then I'm just waiting for their last 2 T-72s to show themselves. There's one more popped. And at this range, my Leopard 2A4 has supreme accuracy. Although, he just proved me wrong with that miss. So with that T-72 being distracted by my Leopard 2A4, I move round the ferret on the right to get a better view of what's exactly going on. Now as a backup plan, I did bring up 2 ATGM Milan F2s to sit in this building. What I said earlier about the enemy, it being really good for them to get into this compound, if you reinforce them before they get the chance, then even if your front line fails, you're still going to be an advantage, because you can use this building to fire pretty much most of the way down the road. Now meanwhile on the left, Kerion's trying his best to get some BMP-1s up on top of this hill, but unfortunately for him, Griffel's got plenty of Centurions stationed there ready to take them out, and a Bradley CFB recon vehicle sniping them. I have my own Fernspar unit of basically elite infantry with snipers, and they're really good because they are small and provide a lot of information. And then I've now got a new HKP 6A. So these Phantoms, again, I bring them in to basically wipe out any infantry that's left in this area. I saw that after I originally napalmed the Moskaya, they actually survived. So they went into these buildings, I saw them advance into those buildings, and therefore I napalmed them so that I could get ready for my next strike. In the meantime, I brought up another Leopard 2A4 and 2 more Fuchsmalans with Jagd Commandos, which are planning to get back into the original positions of the first 2 squads, and that way I would completely control this side. Now I cheekily move up my Marder Roland 2 and shoot down his Mi-2 that was just floating there in the middle of the river. So that got rid of his recon on this side and allowed me to hide a lot of my units. Now to help out, Griffon sends me 4 Humvees with rifleman squads. Now this is to flush out any infantry that's left over. Unfortunately, it does drive straight into the napalm with those. But the squad survive, as he does realise he's taking damage over there. But aside from my really good position at this point, I have also created a really nice no-fly zone for the enemy. Muskaya and Bahota survived a second napalm strike. They're going to be finished off though by the Leopard 2A4, and I'm going to begin to move forwards my Fuchsmalans to help with recon and to provide the ATGM support that they provide. And there's one guy left there, doesn't last long against the MG3s of the Fuchsmalans and the 4 rifleman squads. And then what we have ahead of us is a Tunguska and a Strela M1. Now, T62 MV gets to jump on my Fuchsmalan, but that doesn't stop my Leopard 2A4 being effective. See, a beautiful shot against that Tunguska does indeed blow it up. So these Fuchsmalans, they cost 20 points. And they're soaking ATGMs from tanks that cost 75 points because they are such a threat. And it's just allowing me to sponge with the Fuchsmalan and then move up with the Leopard 2A4s and destroy it very easily. Now these Leopard 2A4s, I really like using heavy armour, and for those of you who have watched the majority of my replays would know that. I just feel that there is a lot more control with more expensive units than there is with spam. And I don't mind spam. I think it's a legitimate strategy and it's incredibly skillful because you have to micromanage so much. However, you are unlikely to see it from me because I am not a very good micro player. Therefore, I like to use less units which are more powerful. And that's why this deck, for me, works really well. I feel that I have ultimate control. So there, just moving my Leopard 2A4, I get a free snipe onto a Sturm that decided to cross the bridge. And now I'm further moving my 2A4s towards this hill. So my ferret is trying to see what I can find. Basically, I'm a bit anxious against moving up against Kilo because I'm not entirely sure whether there'll be anything over there. So instead I decide to help Griffle with his attack and flank my Leopard 2A4's left. Now I have to be incredibly careful. My Leopard 2A4's just become elite. I don't want to lose it to the ATGMs that are stationed in these buildings. So I have to back him off, and I'm going to have to reload him because he's only got 6 rounds left and he's almost out of fuel. So it's time for the Super Chinook to arrive. Now the Super Chinook is probably one of my favourite supply vehicles. As long as you keep it out of harm's way, it's one of the most useful things to have in your deck. It's almost the same as having the MI on the pack side. I really like using it just because it provides like a forward operations base. So you have the FOB at base, but these large supply helicopters provide as something more on the front line, and I find that really helpful. Now meanwhile, we're holding Gulf, and Bash has managed to take control of Foxtrot. Over on the left, Griffles continued to hold Hotel. So having this lead both in the middle and on the right, we are currently at a +2 advantage. Now while this is all going on, my Leopard 2A4 is constantly harassing the left side. This is the one that did have ammo left. And then it is soon to be joined by this Leopard 2A4, which has just been resupplied. Now this leaves this T72B1 right out in the open, and does unfortunately get itself blown up. Now this is all supported by my ferret, my new ferret on the left. I've got my old ferret, which is sitting here, getting its fuel. And now I'm going to use this ferret to support the advance onto this hill. Now I know that my Leopard 2A4s are more powerful if they are in gun range than these T-64Bs. Now the T-64Bs have ran out of SAC-LOS missiles, and that's basically providing my Leopard 2A4s with free shots onto those tanks. Now I'm a bit surprised that the enemy didn't realise, but it turns out that the person who actually controlled those tanks already left the game. So that is why they were not retreating them. The right thing would have been here is just to retreat, and therefore it would have provided the threat that would have caused me not to attack that hill. And they brought up a MI9. This is very heavy recon, but my chaparral does a good job of taking that out before it can get any decent information. Now meanwhile on the left, Griffer's pushing around with loads of sapeurs and is building up a force to press Mike. Now meanwhile, I've got 2 Marder 1A2s and 2 M35s with Mountaineers in them coming up to assault this hill. Now I just about drop out this Mountaineer squad before it gets destroyed. Unfortunately my other one did get annihilated with one shot, and therefore I missed out on having 2 Dragon 2s instead of just 1. My Panzer Grenadiers also don't do too well when we get ambushed by the T-62 MB on the right. So I'm trying to get my Leopard 2A4 up to support this infantry, but because the T-62 is just over the ridge, my Leopard 2A4 doesn't actually have line of sight, and it does make it very difficult for me to get there and support. Now I know that the T-62 MV is panicked and now stunned from the Mountaineers, so I'm not scared about sending my Leopard 2A4 this close to take it out. And there we go, an easy kill. Now with the T-64B also being panicked, I leave my Leopard 2A4 here, which is elite, to just put a couple of rounds into that and destroy it as well. And while this has been going on, I've been pushing a Leopard 2A4 over this bridge to help Val with his advance on these buildings. So he has Royal Marines versus Mojo Strelki, and Royal Marines going to be much better. But with the support of my Leopard 2A4 as well, it's going to just make the job much easier. So we have full control. We have done for most of the game. My chaparrals brought up as reinforcements to support my Marder Roland 2s aren't allowing the enemy to use any air forces really without getting them shot down. That's why you don't see much of it during the game. It probably would have been quite risky for them, especially considering I'm using the expensive units like Leopard 2A4s. You'd have to bring in something like the Su-25T in order to deal with them, and they have to be very close in order to kill their targets. Now I realised this Leopard 2A4 just here was a bit too far up and out in the open, so I bring that back within the anti-air cover while my Mountaineers explore up into Kilo. I've got my Leopard 2A4 pushing over the hill on this side. There is a Sturm here. Fortunately, I just popped that before Val's ATGM land squad would have hit it. So with being so successful at helping Val push the infantry and other vehicles out of the right side of Gulf, I do bring over another Leopard 2A4 and a Marder Roland 2. And now I've got a Ferret Mark 1 with my third Leopard 2A4 heading towards Kilo. Now we didn't actually capture Foxtrot for the entire game, which was a questionable decision, but overall didn't impact the result of the game. My Mountaineers get to the middle of Kilo and they actually find the enemy command vehicle for the sector, which puts us at a +5 advantage. Kilo's worth 3 points, and dealing that blow makes another person surrender. Now on the left, we've got 2 of C2 Pancrazy's tanks being controlled by someone else because he's already left the game, pushing up on this side. And my Leopard 2A4s, or one of my Leopard 2A4 is just taking pot shots at both of them and kills them with no contest. And with that, we win the game. We did very well in this particular one. Griffo did a nice job of using his attritional troops in order to prevent the enemy from pushing up on his side at Hotel. My Leopard 2A4s went to work on the enemy armour. The trouble is with those the packed armour they were using against me was it was inferior compared to the Leopard 2A4s. So yeah, like I've been doing in the last couple of videos, I will leave a link of an image of my deck in the description. So if you are interested in using my deck, then feel free to have a look. I'm not necessarily the best at the game, but I do enjoy playing it, and I do make decks that suit my playstyle. So if you think you play the same as me in any of these replays, then feel free just to take my deck and try it for yourself. So let's just go quickly through the scores. Griffo, 772 kills to 490 losses, mainly because of the attrition, and there wasn't actually that much sustained combat on the left side because the enemy was so afraid to attack that hill. And then we had Val with 1,522 points to 655 losses, who was pushing up on the right side of Gulf, doing a nice job of flushing out the enemy. Then we had Bash, who took control of the enemy's hill on the right, getting 2,377 kills, the most kills on our team, and 765 losses. And then finally me with 2,205 kills to 517 losses. Now if we scroll down, we can see that my one Leopard 2A4 got, let's count this, shall we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 tank kills. And a Conquer squad, Moskab Helter squad, a Tunguska, Strela 10M. It got so many kills, it was ridiculous. Just this one tank, Colt. Bravo. And my other Leopard 2A4, that got a few kills, and so did Fogel, with a couple of Strela 1M kills and a Sturm kill. That was the one that crossed the river and helped out Val. So yeah, but I thought this was crazy. This one Leopard 2A4, so many kills. The rest of my squads didn't even do that much. Mountaineers only got the UAZ kill. Jagd Commandos only got 1 UAZ. But the ATGMs were there as a threat, and the Leopards cleaned up. That's how it worked. And I really, really hope you enjoyed watching that one, because I honestly thought it was a really good demonstration of the use of recon with tanks and the use of ATGM deterrent. Very, very powerful. So anyway, I'll stop going on. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.